Simon Cowell's net worth in 2025 and the massive American Idol payday he walked away from. The sharp-tongued AGT judge was working in the music industry for 2 decades when he struck it big on television. If Simon Cowell had $1 for every time he crushed an aspiring singer's dream, he'd be, well, exactly what he is, a very rich man with an enormous net worth. Of course, since starting his career in television at the age of 42, the famously acerbic music and TV mogul, known for American Idol, The Factor and the Got Talent franchise, has also nurtured a dream or two, putting the likes of One Direction and Leona Lewis on the map and making a fortune that way, too. That's what makes me happy. If I think that we've done a good job, we've found a great artist in the auditions, or we've made a great record, he told Interview magazine back in 2011, when The Factor was just coming to the United States and a year after he left American Idol. I still get a big buzz out of that. Keep reading to find out how Cowell started his career and what he's earned since. How did Simon Cowell start his career? Cowell grew up in the posh village of Radlett in Hertfordshire, England, the son of a ballet dancer mother and EMI executive father. Despite having a fairly idyllic, traditional upbringing, the ambitious Brit went off the beaten path at a fairly young age, dropping out of Dover College, a boarding school in southeast England, when he was just 16. I really realized when I was a young kid that I wasn't particularly academic, he told Independent. I found the whole process tedious, boring, monotonous, too many rules, and I'd made up my mind then when I was 16, I'm out. He had a handful of post-dropout jobs, including a gig as a runner at Elstree Studios, the studio that would go on to make The Shining, but it was his lowly position in the mailroom at EMI, a job he got with his father's help, that set him on the path to music executive stardom. There are reports that Cowell's dad was a music agent, but he actually worked as an estate agent in EMI's real estate division. It was good because I did get a chance to understand what everybody did in the company, Cowell said of his mailroom stint in an interview with Steve Bartlett for The Diary of a CEO. There were a few people who were really kind to me, and they explained what they did. They explained to me how music publishing worked, what they do for the writers, the catalogs, everything. So I started to get an understanding of how the music business worked. I also glimpsed some of the checks that were coming in, being in the mail room, and my jaw dropped seeing how much Kate Bush, for instance, earned, and it was like, bloody hell. If you do well in this business, there's a lot of money. I had no idea. Unfortunately, Cowell, who was making just £18 a week at the time, wasn't seeing much of that money. After a year and a half of waiting around for a promotion, he left EMI to follow in his father's footsteps as an estate agent. A month later, he recalls, "My mum just said to me, 'You're really unhappy, aren't you?' And I said, 'Yes, I'm really unhappy, I hate this.'" Cowell's dad then approached the man who was running EMI Music Publishing at the time, an acquaintance, and as Cowell recalls it, said, "I can't believe after 18 months, you didn't give Simon at least a little promotion." Next thing Cowell knew, an opening suddenly arose at the record company. "My mum, I remember her face," she said, "I've got some really exciting news for you." And I said, "What?" She said, "I think there's a better job for you at EMI Music Publishing and you're gonna have an interview." And so, sometime around 1980, Cowell landed a job in the label's international department. He was officially part of the music industry, but it would be another 20-plus years before he would become a household name. What did Simon Cowell do to get famous? Cowell's rise to stardom came in 2001 as a judge on the UK competition show Pop Idol, created by Simon Fuller, who cast Cowell to be his mean judge. "Simon has been a friend of mine forever," Fuller told Newsweek. "So I called Simon up and I said, 'Look, I've got this idea. I need a partner in crime here.'" Although Cowell was instrumental in shaping Pop Idol and pitching it, as well as its overseas spin-off, American Idol, which premiered the following year, to networks, he did not have an ownership stake in the series. He did, however, negotiate royalty rights for his label, Syco Records, later Syco Music, meaning every recording released by an Idol contestant would ultimately line his pockets. "I just felt instinctively that by using television as a vehicle we would have a better chance of selling records," Cowell told The Guardian of his leap onto the small screen. But it was the record side of it which was the primary reason for getting involved, not wanting to get my ugly mug on TV. What is Simon Cowell's net worth in 2025? According to Celebrity Net Worth, Cowell's net worth is $600 million, riches he's earned as a judge and/or producer for Pop Idol, American Idol, The Factor and the Got Talent franchise, as well as from signing and promoting successful music artists such as Little Mix. What company does Simon Cowell own? Cowell owns Syco Entertainment, which he formed in 2019 as a joint venture with Sony Music Entertainment. At the time, the company included Syco Music, which was originally called S Records when Cowell founded it in 2002, and Syco TV. But in 2020, Cowell bought out Sony's stake in Syco's TV business, gaining full control over the Got Talent and the Factor franchises, while allowing Sony to retain Syco Music and its artist roster, which is now defunct.